tremendous looking trophy.
One of the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Tom Blight. Joining me as always, Asher Holdby.
Hey, John. Excited to be here for this episode.
Okay. That's fine. In the trophy cabinet this week, a gold trophy for a bunch of Ghost of Tsushima news stories, and we hit a platinum for this month's PlayStation Plus games. But first, Destroy All Humans review. It's out now, ExplosionNetwork.com. Game's out now. It was a classic PS2 game that I know myself and my brother both played a lot of when we were growing up. The first two specifically, because they were on PS2. The remake is not your Crash remake. It's not your Spyro remake. It's not your Medieval remake. It's not.
Is it your SpongeBob?
I don't know. I haven't played that one, so I don't know. maybe not. I just feel like out of all the remakes that I've played, this one shows its age the most. And also, I don't think that this game got the facelift that all of those other games got. Even SpongeBob, having not played it. Like, you can look at screenshots and trailers, and like the graphic overhaul that game got. It looks really good, even if Kieran said it plays like crap. It looks really good. Destroy All Humans looks like a PS3 game, so I got like an upgrade from a PS2 game to a PS3 game, I guess is the easiest way to describe that. I mean, there are some slight, like when stuff explodes, that looks nice, but it's mostly just the character models that look bad, like distractingly bad and annoying. But the core gameplay is fun. If you don't know what the game is, you literally just are an alien invading Earth, and you come down and you got to do different missions where the goal is either to just kill a bunch of humans and get their brains, or impersonate a human, like in one mission, a mayor, and then do that, and then proceed to just blow up a bunch of stuff afterwards. So it's either stealth for a little bit and then destroy stuff, or just destroy stuff straight up. But the general structure of the missions is very old. There's like, you walk to one place, get a cutscene, get a load scene. Walk to another place, get a cutscene, get a load scene. Kill a couple of people. It's literally like, go here, kill people, do this, blah, 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 blah. The combat, quote unquote combat, I say that because you can die, but I mean, it's kind of hard. You're kind of supposed to be overpowered. Either way, blow up a bunch of... I enjoy the combat. You get to throw humans around, pop a bunch of brains out. It's a great time. Disintegrate people, hop in a UFO ship, fucking blow buildings up. That's fun. There's just really not enough of that unless you want to hop into the free play levels and go around and do that. I'm very confused why they didn't just make a brand new entry into the franchise instead of remaking the first one. If they made a new one and took some of the new ideas that they had in this, because they do have a couple new modes in the free level, the exploration modes where they got these challenges and stuff, and that's like the best part of the game. So I'm like, why couldn't you have just made a new Destroy All Humans game with this stuff instead of remaking the original campaign, which is kind of the worst part of the game? I don't know. I'm sure people that love the game more than I, because like I have memories of playing it, but it's no Medieval in my like nostalgia factor. It's no Crash Bandicoot, it's no Spyro. So like I was like, yeah, this is fun. I remember this game kinda, but also I wasn't like, oh man, Spyro or something like that. So I gave it a 5 out of 10, which on our review scale is
okay.
It's okay. It could be good if they had fixed some of the things up, namely load times, character models, probably fuck around with the mission objectives a little bit, just slight tweaks, and you could have had a decent game here. But at the moment, I'd say it's overpriced. Like, if you want to get your Destroy All Humans fix, you can buy the original games 1 and 2 on your PS4, because they got those PS2 classics on there. and they're like $20-$30 each or something like that, full, unless they're on sale, and sometimes those games are on sale. So you could buy both full price for the price of this one, full price. And I don't think what this one offers is worth not just going and buying the other two if you're seeking a Destroy All Humans alien fix. So that's my review. Go read the full thing if you want. Explosion.
So you're saying don't spend the $400 on the collector's edition.
Oh my god, no. Oh no. No, I'm sorry for whoever did that. I'm the other thing, I'm just so surprised how hard THQ is pushing this game. Like, obviously, if you look on Twitter and you follow enough content creators and whatever, the amount of people that THQ Nordic PR in Australia got those big collector's editions sent to them as promo. Like, I've seen a lot of people get them, not like a handful. A lot of people get them, and I'm just very confused at how hard they're pushing this game out of all the things they've released recently.
See, that's why the collector's edition's so expensive, because they've got to make their money back for all the ones they send out to people to get you to buy the collector's edition.
Maybe that's what the secret is. Maybe that's what the secret is. But I definitely don't remember seeing heaps of collector's editions for SpongeBob being sent out or anything else that THQ's released recently, unless I completely missed it, you know? So it's very confusing, especially when I'm like, so like what was a couple weeks ago I reviewed Desperados 3 on PC, right, which is on PS4 as well, on Xbox and whatever, and I love that. And now I'm like seeing how hard they're pushing this. I'm like, couldn't you push that more? That game was great. That's a great game. You should have pushed that more. Why are we pushing this fucking thing? You're pushing a turd so hard here. You know?
Well, yeah, I guess they're more concerned about this IP than. I think they definitely want to do a sequel, but they just need the numbers to make sense.
I guess, but I'm like, you could have made a budget, not a full-on reboot or a full-on proper sequel, but like a budget Destroy All Humans game with only a couple levels or whatever to fuck around with. Sold it for a little bit cheaper to see what if people were interested in that, and it probably would have got enough interest from fans, and he would have been like, okay, people are interested in a brand new one. I don't know. We'll find out if this sells like crazy and everyone loves it. Then whatever, you know. Obviously, like it's weird because I gave it a 5, but again, like I'm saying, there are moments I enjoyed it, but mostly I was just like, why? Like, I feel like I'm playing a PS2 game the entire time. I feel like the biggest difference, here's the thing to separate between this and other remakes, because you could be like, but Dylan, you gave Medieval an 8. I did. For me personally, playing this most of the time, I was in the back of my mind thinking, oh, this is an old game, isn't it? Like, there were so many things just taking me out of the moment. When I played Medieval, I was just having so much fun the majority of the time, and that may be because I was a bigger fan of that game, but I was never like getting pulled out of the experience and thinking like, oh, this is archaic, old system. I don't know. So that may be different. The same can be said for Crash Bandicoot and Spyro when I played those as well.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to talk about another game in a second, but firstly, let's run over this because it ties into it. So PS Plus games for August have been announced. The first game they've announced is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the campaign remastered. That is one of your PS Plus games. That is it's in the very confusing world in which they're remaking the Modern Warfare games, and then they're also remastering the Modern Warfare campaigns. This is the remastered of the second one, and then when they inevitably announce Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which is a sequel to last year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that will be a completely different game. Well, everything's just too confusing. So you can grab that, pick that up. That's the one that everyone loves, or back in the day was super excited about. And they're the key game, the number one game that everyone should be excited about releasing on PlayStation Plus for your August games is Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. If you don't know what this game is, we'll talk about it a little bit more in a moment, but the synopsis for it is, as written on a PS blog post, survive a series of hilarious challenges until one victor remains in this colorful 60-person online multiplayer party game. Test your metal? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In brutal free-for-alls or co-op challenges where only the winning team advances to the next round, bend, bounce, and bash your way through hilarious physics-based obstacles, from smashing through doors to balancing on massive seesaws to racing up mountains riddled with traps. Add a touch of style to your Fall Guy by customizing them with everything from classy pineapple couture to flattering prehistoric fashion. We played the game over the weekend over on twitch.tv/Explosion Network. Ash, myself, also Kieran, was playing it on PC, but the PS4 experience is...
You're using a PS4
Well, I was
controller.
using a controller. I was using an Xbox controller because it's just it hooks up easier. So, but either way, I was using a controller, so I got playing on PlayStation ain't going to be much different. Let's go with you. What Fall Guys? How much was you enjoying it? How excited are you that it's going to be free on PlayStation Plus?
Listen, we played for
Nearly
4 hours. I couldn't believe it went that quickly. It was that much fun. Other than some connection issues starting off, this is a super smart move. Obviously, it's that battle royale kind of thing. For them to go on PS Plus from day one, that's going to give you the biggest amount of player base starting off with. So you're probably not going to be waiting in Rocket League effect. You're not going to be waiting in queues for a long time because you need 60 people in each match. So it's super fun. There's just that one more go aspect to it. Even if you get super frustrated or you get knocked out because you're playing on a shitty team, it's just you just want to get another go at trying to get that crown. It's just addicting. Like, I jumped back in the next day for a couple, maybe an hour here, trying to. And then it's got that battle pass element to it as well, so you can keep unlocking different things the more you play. So they've got these interesting costumes for your little Fall Guy fella. You can customize everything. Yeah, it's just got a bunch of different hooks that will get everybody, I think.
I feel like in case any of the description was kind of confusing, and because I feel like they should never be selling this as battle royale, because then it might turn off people who don't like battle royales. So, like, although it's kind of the easiest way to describe the game, it's not actually
it's an elimination game. Yeah,
it's an elimination game. Yeah, so everyone just uses battle royale as like the key.
It's a last man standing game.
Yeah,
I guess.
It's basically Takeshi's Castle or Wipeout if you live in Australia, or any of the variations of those sorts of game shows where contestants would literally go through different sorts of mini games involving obstacle courses and so forth until there was a victor at the end. I guess you could even say like Gladiator, sort of, but it's not like exactly the same. But like the Gladiator game may be in this, like a similar sort of thing for all we know, but it's like, so I think I couldn't remember all of them, but in my article I put up yesterday, I said there was like 6 games. I thought.
I think it was more than that.
Was there? Definitely.
But there was a couple that we just did like once or twice. Like some of the like team. There was a bunch of different team-based games that
I don't remember seeing many of the team-based ones. Although there was the one time we played team-based, the tail one. I didn't even realize it was a team-based one until the very end. But yeah, so there's going to be 25 mini games in the full release, but we played a handful in the beta. One of them that we played the most was the seesaw one, which Kieran hated, which involves you basically it's just running from straight ahead across this to the finish line, and like if it's in the first round, then I think it's like of the 60 players that start at the start, only 48 make it through. So you got a pretty good chance of getting to the end. And it's pretty simple. It's just you got to run and you got to jump over these onto these seesaws and make it to the end. However, of course, there's seesaws. So if everyone is going to one end, then all of a sudden you won't be able to jump on it and so forth. So it gets like kind of hectic. Then there are other ones like there's a soccer one where it's team-based, and I hate that one because every time I played it, I don't think my team understood the concept of soccer and that you had to score the goal into not your own goal, but
it was like full-on primary school, you know? Everybody just went to the ball. Like nobody's trying to
no offside or anything. Absolutely ridiculous. Needed a ref for that. There's other games where there's like there's a solo version of this and a team-based version of this where you got to have a tail by the end, and you can snatch the tail off of people. Then you basically just got to run around like a crazy person and make sure you don't get caught by the end of it. There's another one where you like these platforms all start dropping as you walk across them, and there's like several layers of them, and you got to try and survive, and like 12 people get knocked out or something like that, and I think every 1 or 2 times we played it, so it's like you gotta just survive long enough until 12 people fall off. There's another one similar to that where it's just like an ever rotating cylinder with sort of obstacles in it that you just gotta try and survive
as long as possible,
as long as possible until the number of people
are knocked out,
get eliminated. And then the last game is always
not always.
No, is it?
No, there's like 3. I've seen like there's 3 different ones.
But they're similar, aren't they? Like they're all...
No, there's the one of going up the hill. Then there's the one with the platforms that there's multiple layers. And then there's the one that's like the Wipeout, very much Wipeout one, where there's 2 swinging, 2 spinning hitter things in the middle. And like the platforms give way.
For the final round?
Yep.
Oh, I thought the final round was always just run up to grab the crown. But the one I remember the most then, so I lied in the article then because I said
that's the one but you came closest at, yes. So.
Yeah. The final played, which was the most like Wipeout, which is just final round. You can get a slight variation on the number of people that reach the final round depending on what mini games have been played and how many people knocked out. Also, I discovered on seeing a clip on Twitter go around that you can also just win on the 3rd round if it's like a platforming one or where it's like instant elimination, and magically like everyone but you manages to fall off all at the exact same time or something like that.
Like the match.
Yeah, like
the match one.
Yeah, I saw like I don't know if that's a glitch or something, but it was like suddenly they just won and they're like, okay. But yeah, the one we played the most, which is the most like the final round of Wipeout, is you just got to run up this hill. You got these boulders falling down at you, a bunch of swinging obstacles, and then you just got to run up and you got to jump and grab the crown. The one time I got close to it, I did not realize that the crown was moving up and down, I completely fumbled it, and I did not jump and grab the crown, so I fumbled my only chance of a win. But yeah,
an explosion pod for that tweet. That Twitch clip.
It's embedded in the article too if you want to find it on the website. And then the other one you talk about, which I didn't realize was a final round one, is you're all standing on a circular platform, 3 levels of rotating beams are swinging around, and it's just a very simple thing where you got to time your jumps correctly and jump around them, and then as the match continues on, parts of the platform start dropping off until you're on a very small platform altogether, trying to jump over these obstacles as they speed up and so on and so forth. So it's a party game, not in your typical sense of like a local co-op split screen party game. It's an online party game. I think it's going to be super popular on Twitch, especially given that, as I point out in the article I pointed out yesterday, if you went on Twitch stats, it was in the top 20 games being streamed. It got up to 218,000 concurrent viewers at its highest point. And this was in a beta period that wasn't even open. This was a beta period where they were only handing out keys like slowly to first to media and certain content creators, and then they began handing it some out to Twitch on Twitter to people asking for them, but they never went like ham on the keys. So imagine if it had been open beta, like all the people that were wanting to play it and wanting to stream it. I think you're going to see a lot of Twitch streamers streaming it simply because it is exactly the sort of game that Twitch streamers / content creators look for, in that it's just it's fun, but also it's just going to lead to hilarious clips and reactions. And the amount of times I've seen a few too many overreacting clips, like not the sort of people I like to watch, but I get that's part of the market base. But it's super fun and super easy to pick up and play. I mean, what there's like most of the games have 2 buttons. It's like
I think there is 3 buttons on the controller in total that are used for other than joysticks.
Not counting emotes either.
Yeah.
Because it's not important. So, I mean, not important to actually play,
not
but
really.
learning how to play the game. So it's like jump button, grab button,
dive button. That's
dive button, yeah, I guess. The 3 key buttons you need. And obviously the knowing how to press forward on the stick to move.
To run, yeah.
So, yeah, other than that. And then, yeah, so the other cool thing is that, so we'll get it free on PlayStation Plus. Awesome. Heaps of people dive in. So there'll be heaps of people to play with. I don't know how much the game was going to cost. I think it was like $30. It
was like $30, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
That's what it is on Steam, so.
Yeah, it'd probably be the same then. And then they said how the content's going to roll out. So you got 25 mini games at launch. They're going to work on more mini games, of course, post launch, and they add them in, and these sorts of things. They said all of that's always going to be free. So any new mini games, free update. Yep. Any changes to old mini games or anything like that, free. The only things that you're going to spend real money on the game if you want to is all cosmetic costumes, which doesn't affect the game at all. It just lets you look funny or cute or weird or whatever you want to look like in the game. And that's also where you'll be earning each game you play. I can't remember the name of the currency, but you earn like a common currency, and then you also earn a different sort of currency.
Crowns, the crowns was the gold
common
one.
Was that the common, or was that with the wins? Yeah, I think you get one if you win.
Wins, yeah.
If you win, you get like a rare currency, which you can also spend real money to earn, and then you also earn a common currency by just playing games. Both of those currencies can be used to buy
stuff.
In the game. There are going to be some costumes, they said, or whatever, limited costume packs or sorts of things that you'll only be able to buy with real money. And from what they've said, it makes it sound like, because they also tease they've got some collaborations with people they haven't announced yet. Like, of course, like most games do, it could be like crossover with fucking the Batman movie, or, like these sorts of random collaborations. They've got some in the works, they said, and I would presume that all of those, like, crossover type things with other games, movies, TV shows, or fucking even Takeshi Castle fucking tie-in DLC. I would presume those you'd only be able to buy with real money, not in-game currency.
Probably, yeah.
So overall, the structure of the game sounds thumbs up. You're going to be earning stuff as you play, Battle Pass, whatever. There's a free Battle Pass, and of course there'll probably be a premium Battle Pass like most games have. Anyway, so sounds great. Keen to play. Can't wait to play. It's out on August 4th, which is
1 week.
Next week, right? Yeah.
Can't wait.
This time next week. Oh, no. This time next week, yesterday. Tuesday next week. Whatever it is. We're recording on Tuesday. This time next week, we're recording it out. Okay. All right, so let's run through some news stories. There's not actually that much that's happened really in the past week, because last week was Xbox's kind of show to lose, which if you want to hear us talk about, go listen to Arcade Couch. But there's a few Ghost of Tsushima things that's happened. Ash has now finished the game. He finished it last night. And I've played a lot more since last week, so that's good. I'm catching up. I'm like halfway through the second act, roughly. Okay. Would be my guesstimate based on like what's happening story wise. Like I feel like I'm based on like what people I've recruited and whatever. I feel like I'm halfway through there. So I feel like I've either surpassed Kieran at this point or at least caught up to him, because I know he's still in the second act. So at this stage, hopefully, spoiler cast maybe next week. Maybe like late next week, I'd say. Like would be a rough estimate, would be a possible thing at this point. But Ghost of Tsushima, super popular in Japan. So PlayStation Lifestyle, right? Ghost of Tsushima is now the fastest selling first-party PS4 exclusive in Japan. When The Last of Us Part 2 hit stores last month, it became PS4's fastest selling first-party exclusive in Japan, moving more than 178,000 units during the first 3 days. Sucker Punch's Ghost of Tsushima has now taken the crown by quite a large margin, with 212,915 units sold at retail in the first 3 days. Ghost of Tsushima officially counts as the fastest selling first party PS4 exclusive in Japan. Jamatsu relayed a word of Famitsu's estimated digital and physical game sales for the week ending in July 19th. According to data, Ghost of Tsushima even beat out Death Stranding, which debuted an impressive 185,909 copies sold back in the day, and it's outsold the PS4 timed exclusive Final Fantasy VII Remake's opening weekend sales of 700,000 in Japan. And it beat Paper Mario, which came out the same week. So, and that's, I mean, not like it and Paper Mario probably in competition, but Wi-Fi it did smash said competition.
I mean, yeah, it did well in Japan, but it's done well pretty much everywhere else. I think they said it launched for 2.4 million copies across the first 3 days worldwide, which does make it the fastest selling first party with PS4 title with a new IP.
With a new
beating out Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, which is just super impressive.
It is. I think it is, considering I suppose the reason it's beating Horizon is end of generation, more people have PS4s.
Yeah, more people have
Yeah, so that's probably why it's smashing that. I think it doing very well in Japan is noteworthy. I think it's like always noteworthy when it's weird to say that Ghost of Tsushima is a very Western game, but even though it's like set in Japan, it's about like, you know, feudal Japan, samurais and all this sort of shit. But like it is a very Western game when it comes to gameplay, dev team, you know, all these sorts of things. Open world game. Not usually the type of game you sell super well in Japan. But turns out that Japan likes samurai. There you go. Who'd have thought? Crazy.
Well, did it get a perfect score at Famitsu?
I don't think it did.
One of only
Not that I saw.
It was it got 40 at some massive Japanese outlet.
It might have been it might have got 4 out of the 5 perfects at Famitsu then, because that's how their scores work. It's like a bunch of different critics score it, and then if every single one give it the perfect, then it gets the perfect Famitsu score. But it might have got 4 out of 5.
No, Ghost of Tsushima is the third Western game to score a Famitsu perfect score.
Yeah. Does it say what the other two are?
Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto 5.
There you go. Third. There you go. Cool. I missed that. So then we've also got some patch notes for Ghost of Tsushima already. But they're patch notes that we're talking about because they're already adding in some new stuff. So they're adding... I find some slight tweaks interesting because I don't know if it's like based on player feedback / reviews, etc., etc. Because they're like, enemy weapons are now more deadly, but Jin's katana is also more deadly. This is the new lethal difficulty, right? So I think this is for people who lots of people complaining the game's too easy, blah 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 blah. So they're adding a new difficulty level called lethal. It makes enemies more deadly, but also makes Jin's katana more deadly. To me, that just means that most likely it's going to play more into the samurai kind of one strike kind of to end all things. So I guess if you're playing on that difficulty, it's kind of want to be like perfect parry kill, perfect parry kill, perfect parry kill, that kind of structure. Enemies are more aggressive in combat, so you're probably going to have more than one swing at you than once. Enemies detect you faster, so stealth ain't going to be as easy because stealth in the game at the moment it's very easy to cheese. Tighter parry and dodge windows, so you're going to have to make sure. Really, that means it's making it more like Sekiro dodge and parry windows where it's not as easy to just press it late or a bit too early or so on and so forth. So yeah, I don't know if it'll be interesting to see if they had a trophy for it as well. I'm not going to dive back into it and do another playthrough on Lethal to get a bronze or a gold, whatever the fuck it is, if they do add one. But I know when God of War got a new difficulty and they added like one trophy for it or whatever and these sorts of things. So be interesting. Then they've also added a lower intensity combat mode. So on the complete opposite end of the scale, it says lower intensity mode is meant to maintain the heart and feel of Ghost of Tsushima combat while relaxing several timing specific elements. Combat is less intensive, giving you more time to react. Stealth settings are more forgiving, and enemies take longer to detect you. So it says most enemy attacks, which are normally unblockable, become blockable when lower intensity is enabled. Blocking with L1 will keep you safe from more attacks in standard combat, though some attacks must still be dodged. Enemies break off their attack combos after damaging you, giving you a chance to recover before the next wave of attacks. In addition, your heavy attacks will interrupt attacks from brutes, giving you another way to end their combos, defend against combos. Enemies will not attack you while you're using Resolve to heal. Enemies' awareness builds more slowly, giving you more time to recover after being spotted. So they've literally added a very hard mode and a very easy mode, basically, a week from release, which I find interesting. The harder mode, I get. Yep. But the easier mode, I guess, maybe that plays into making the game a bit more accessible. Like maybe the easier mode isn't easier and isn't easy enough as it is now. Like I know the game has accessibility options, but I haven't explored them. I don't know if it's as robust as The Last of Us Part 2's that like pretty much made it the most accessible game ever. So maybe on top of the accessibility stuff they've got in the game as well, the lower intensity combat mode is to make it more accessible for people to play, I guess. And then they added some random other things that aren't important, like subtitle colors and things to help people who need different color text and so on and so forth. Interesting indeed. But that's I guess one of the key complaints that I've seen from a few people is that the combat's too easy. It's blah 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 blah. So maybe this is at a much harder mode. Tell those people to shut the fuck up. Me personally, I'm not going to talk about my experience playing it too much because I don't want to do updates every week. But I'll still say that playing on normal, there's enough. I wouldn't say the game's like super hard, but the stealth is super cheesy. I think like the stealth isn't great. Like it's super. You can pretty much just kill a bunch of people. And then I literally like hid around the corner, and then they did the whole like, oh, like I guess they're gone. I'm like, dude, like one of you had walked out of this fucking door. I was standing here, and at some point, like they're like, oh, they started running away. And they're like, bowed one in the head, and everyone's like, oh, what happened? Oh, I guess I'll go back to my post. I'm like, dude, I just killed that dude in front of you. Like, come out the door. Yeah.
I'm sure that feels even worse coming off Last of Us Part 2, which was a bit better about that.
Stealth in Last of Us Part 2 is a lot better. But stealth in that paired with, not bring it up again, Desperados 3 has like fantastic stealth. And not the same sort of game, but like I think I played a few games recently with way better stealth. So playing this, I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of bad. But and then the general combat is I still think, like halfway through Act 2, I'm just like, if I start button spamming, I'm just gonna die. So there's enough like I don't think it's hard. It's definitely not Sekiro or anything like that, or any sort of Souls game. But there's enough difficulty and need there to make sure that you're always engaged with what's happening. You can't not be blocking or not be parrying or not be switching your stances to do so you can break enemies' shields or they're blocking or whatever and what for. So I feel like there's enough engagement here that like I get that some people may be like, oh, especially if all they do is play Souls games and they're looking for that in this, then they're like, oh, the game's too easy. I guess if that's what you're looking for, but I don't think it's easy, like super easy to the point that like if anyone's out there saying like, oh, it's just a button masher game, I'm like, no way, you're playing on easy. No way. Like I've tried several times now just to test, like just smashing buttons, and I've died every single time from some dude like clobbering me over the face. So it's not a button mashing game. No. It requires too much pressing of other buttons that aren't just attack to be called a button mashing game.
No.
All right, so then we got Yakuza News. Oh no, hold on. My other Ghost of Tsushima story that I think everyone should go read this because it's quite interesting. But to put it out there, Kotaku had this really great story up from Ian Walker, and it's called "I asked an expert to read my Ghost of Tsushima haiku. He wasn't impressed." And I'll just skip to my favorite part here. So it's just the start. When not fighting invaders, Ghost of Tsushima gives players peaceful ways to catch their breath. The island is littered with scenic spots that host a haiku composing minigame, and by the end of the journey, players should have written quite a few of these short poems. Unfortunately, they probably won't be very good. Quote, I hope I'm not hurting your feelings here, but none of these are even close to competent haiku. If you're interested in the history and value of the genre, Jim Kashian or Kakian or Kashi, I'm going with Kashian, founder and director of the Haiku Foundation, told me via email after reading through a few of my Ghost of Tsushima generated poems, saying, quote, do they achieve something for the game? I presume they do, but are they haiku in any meaningful sense? Not really. So, and there's a bunch of articles.
What a haiku elitist snob.
I know. So then, once again, this will be linked to the thing, so I think people should go read it. But like skipping down to the bottom, he breaks down one of the haikus he did in the game. So the haiku he did in the game is brilliant. It blossoms, struggling, cry out for help, shattered but alive. And then he like breaks.
I mean,
down.
to be fair, that's a poor choices.
Poor.
There are better options.
He says, like, brilliant blossoms might be suggestive in haiku, but it would relate to something actually brilliant and blossom, perhaps a flower or a flowering tree, and that would be your first image, most likely followed by a kai, which might be a dash or a comma or a period, or simply the end of a line, he says. But next would come a different image, which purpose would be to release the depth of the image as it relates to your psychology and emotional being. Instead, a couple of verbs come out of nowhere and enter the ludicrous. Let's presume it is a flower. It is now struggling and crying out for help. Do flowers do a lot of crying of any sort? And what does a flower's struggle look like? Strange, to say the least. I kind of agree with his point. Like, you can make some haikus that make more sense in the game depending on the choices you pick, but like as the article goes over and sums up, and I don't think this is something that's like, oh no, the game's terrible now. It's just like a very video gamey thing. Like they try and put in a haiku. I guess it's basically a haiku generator in the game, but to make it more meaningful, I guess, for the players or whatever, most of the time the haikus are doing that very like. It's like haikus described by people who don't understand what haikus are. So it is like that very like brilliant blossoms, struggling, cry out for help, shattered but alive. Like you're like, oh, there's deep meaning in here. But as this dude breaks down in the article, I've already forgot his name. I'm sorry. He says that like haikus actually aren't very they're actually very just straight up. You know, like as he says there, it's like brilliant blossoms would in a haiku back in the day wouldn't mean something like really out there. It would literally mean like that's about a flower. Like for the most part, they were very just straight up with what their descriptors were and so on and so forth. And there are a lot of the haikus you can create in the game where it is that sort of like very whimsical, metaphorical thing. But haikus apparently weren't very metaphorical outside of what you were actually describing or talking about at the time. So anyway, I found it interesting, and it was a cool idea for an article to have an expert break down the
I just think he put together bad haikus, you know, just poorly. Why'd you have blossoms in the shattered but alive thing in the same haiku? It doesn't make sense.
I think a lot of the time there's a few that like in general, I feel like the game is trying to make you put together those very whimsical sort of haiku, because I think that's also what most people think of haiku. And also the game, I guess, is mostly targeted towards Western audiences, and most Western audiences think of like haiku would just be poems to them, and like general European poem structure is more whimsical than Japanese haiku, I guess. So I guess that's why it works out. All right, Yakuza.
Also, PlayStation Australia is currently doing a Ghost of Tsushima photo mode prize competition. So send your Ghost Shimmer prize, the photo mode pictures at PlayStation Australia.
What do you have to
Win
do?
that prize pack.
You
just have to at them and use hashtag Ghost Shimmer.
Okay. What do you win?
Yeah. The collector's edition and a bunch of other cool merch.
Oh, shit. Have you entered?
No, but one at Lord Empire has. So.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's entered like 10 times.
He's going ham. He's going ham on that.
I haven't uploaded any, but I have so many, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's so many good ones out there. Like, I don't upload my bad ones. Of course, Yakuza Like a Dragon, a game we've been talking about across all number of Explosion Network podcasts all year. Ash's number one most excited game of the year. He thought it was coming out in February, but that was actually the Japanese version.
Fucking hell.
I like to bring that up as much as I can. So it's having a weird release schedule, and it's actually quite confusing. But IGN writes, and there's a few other bits of news here about it. Yakuza Like a Dragon is coming to PS5 along with previously announced platforms and will include an English voice dub option. The cast, which includes the legendary George Takei as an antagonist, Masumi Arakawa, revealed exclusively as part of IGN's coverage of Comic-Con Home. The game will arrive in November 2020 for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC via Windows Store and Steam. It will also release as a launch title for Xbox Series X this holiday. The PS5 version, though, will release at a later date. Now, before we move on to there's some other tidbits about the game here. This is the part that's had the most articles written about it, and I think people potentially digging in too far to what this could mean or whatever. Do we think that the PS5 version, when they say will release at a later date, means like literally like Xbox is scooped it up as an Xbox Series X exclusive or something weird like that? Or they're just wording it that way at the moment because they know the Xbox Series X will be out before the PS5, and then they're writing the PS5 version will release at a later date because it's going to release like just 2 weeks later kind of thing. Like what do we reckon?
I think it might be the first one because Xbox has been pushing this one pretty hard. Yeah, so wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of exclusivity for the next gen, but I mean, we'll just play them on PS4.
Yeah, well, play it on PS5 anyway because you get the PS4 disc, you play it anyway.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Like people, I've seen people online. Oh no, like I'm picking up a PS5. I want to play Yakuza Like a Dragon. I can't play it now. This is absolute bullshit. Look, this game is not a next gen game. I know it's going to have some new bells, whistles, cool things. I'm sure the Series X.
Oh no, those cutscenes will look slightly better with
exactly
60 frames per second and ray tracing and
well, I don't think it has
4K graphics.
I don't think it has ray. You're using all the words.
All that other stuff you can't notice.
You're using the words, but I don't think you understand what they mean. So it is coming out on Xbox One, PS4. So even if you pick up your PS5, just put the disc in your console and off you go. Like there's no.
Sure that's how it works?
Yeah, put the disc in your console.
Has it been confirmed
that they have backwards compatibility? Yeah.
That all you have to do is put the disc in the console.
No, I don't know if they've said directly if that's what you have to do, but I don't know if you have to blow on it first or like pray to the PlayStation gods or thank Shuhei or whatever. But
yeah,
from what I understand and presume, you put the disc in your console and you'll probably just be able to play Yakuza Like a Dragon on your PS5.
Probably.
But they also did confirm, because Xbox has been touting that Yakuza Like a Dragon will have the what do they call it? I've already forgotten the name of it. What's the upgrade fucking thing called that they always use?
Smart delivery.
Smart delivery. Thank you. So
they're not saying it enough.
No. I think they've reached the point where I've heard it so many times that I'm actually starting to like my brain's starting to delete it from my brain. But so it will have smart delivery on Xbox One, so you'll be able to get the Xbox Series X version for free if you do that. But they've also said since then that the PS4 to PS5 version, there will be some version of a program to let you upgrade for free anyway. So PlayStation doesn't have a smart keyword for whatever this is, but you will be able to upgrade your PS4 copy to a PS5 version when that happens, I guess. Presumably, I'm still presuming that this is only for digital things and not going to be a physical thing, but Either way. Yeah, we're still playing it. Let's focus on the main dot point. Are we still going to be playing Yakuza Like a Dragon later this year if you would like to play it on a PlayStation console? Yes. If you're not getting a PS5, you can play it. If you are getting a PS5, you can still play it. It just won't be a PS5 disc. It will be a PS4 disc putting into your PS5. But whatever, you can still play the game. Some other details I released the thing. It says after series spin-off Judgment included an English dub, which IGN said was brilliant in their review. It seems Yakuza as a whole is now embracing the option, alongside bringing back Greg Chan, who voiced Judgment's lead character. The headline is that Mr. Sulu himself, George Takei, will be taking on a major role. The game will also receive full English, French, Italian, German, and Japanese, Spanish subtitles. So the full voice cast. For the English voice cast is Keiji Tang as Ichiban Kasuga, the protagonist of the story, returning from 18 years spent in prison. George Takei as Masumi Arakawa, patriarch of the Arakawa family. But by the way, in the trailer, does that character not seem like way younger than George Takei? Like, no? Yeah? Like, he's not actually that old,
probably.
is he? Yeah, but it's fine.
No.
I know it's like animated voice. It's fine. But just as a side note. Andrew Morgago as Koichi Adachi, an ex-cop on the search for truth. Greg Chan as Yu Nadba as downtrodden former nurse making amends with the world. Elizabeth Maxwell as Seiko Bukoda, a bar hostess on a mission. So that's cool. I'm excited for the game. English voice cast. Do you reckon you would play in English now instead of Japanese, or
probably?
Yeah,
it's because it's easier.
Yeah, I think I would too, because this will be my first Yakuza game. I would presume that most Yakuza hardcores would probably still just play it in Japanese because, as it said there, all Yakuza games bar Judgment did not have English voice acting. So if you've been playing,
I think some of them did. It's just maybe the lip sync.
No, none of them.
Like they were dubs.
No.
So I definitely remember Mark Hamill doing somebody in a Yakuza game.
Really, from what I gathered, like, I know the ones that came out like last couple of years, Kiwami's and whatever, those people, everyone's just playing them Japanese because I didn't think it had an option to even play them in English. So
maybe
be interesting. I know that most people, either way, I guess if most people I know that play the game or I've heard talk about play the game, be that on Twitters or different podcasts and so on and so forth, I know that people who play the Yakuza games always seem to just play them in Japanese. So I presume those people would continue playing Like a Dragon in Japanese instead of English.
Okay, it might just be in the original versions. There was an English dub.
Back on that would make sense. I guess like the first time they released the game, they did an English dub and it probably didn't sell too well. And then they were like, oh, fuck that. That's too much effort. Yeah. But the franchise has picked up steam over the last couple of years. People playing them, I guess. So Judgment sold quite better, I guess. And then the final story is about Dreams. So Dreams, PSVR patch, update, content, whatever you want to call it, update, PSVR update to Dreams is out. Neither of us has played it because Ghost and whatever else, it's unfortunate, but we have not played it. We'll try and play it before next week's episode. However, I did think it was funny. Eurogamer had story up, says, someone's remade Beat Saber in Dreams PSVR update, because of course they have. I like how it's so funny to me that, you know, like when Dreams come out and then everyone just kept making like Mario's and Crash Bandicoots and, you know, like just remaking games in the game maker, and then VR comes out. What's the first thing that happens? People are like, well, VR's a new thing, but we can still just remake all the VR games in this game.
Yeah.
And there's video of it up on Eurogamer of them checking out some of the VR content, including the Beat Saber thing. It's definitely not Beat Saber. Like, it kind of looks like Beat Saber. It doesn't have like as flashy effects, and the music obviously isn't quite there. But
no, yeah, it is super basic.
It is super basic, but it is in context. They are notes that you have to hit in certain directions coming towards you, and that's what they are doing. So, that's their first thing. So also your PSA Dreams' PSVR update is out. And judging off flicking through the Eurogamer video, there is actually a fair chunk of
content
to check out, from, rip-offs of other games, including Beat Saber, to some racing games, and obviously some shooter stuff, or some other just cinematic, just you sit back and watch kind of content, these sorts of things. So far, because we were talking about being worried there wouldn't be much content, seems there's actually a selection of stuff to at least check out. So hopefully we'll dive into a bunch of that and talk about it next week. But I will say now that my focus is going to be definitely getting Ghost done, and we can do a spoiler cast and that sort of stuff, as much as I want to try out some Dreams stuff as well. And that'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. You can suggest topics or send in questions for the show by emailing mail@explosionnetwork.com with the subject line Platinum Explosion. And until next week, remember that every trophy counts. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com. And please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.